More on the upcoming Senate battle over President Trump's Supreme Court pick. We have with us Nebraska Republican Senator Ben Sasse. He's a member of the Judiciary Committee. Senator Sasse, it's been a long time. Thanks so much for joining me.
Thanks for the invite. Good to be here.
So, Senator, you've been a critic of President Trump, but you are applauding his pick of Judge Gorsuch.
This is a great day for America. I do applaud the president on this selection, and frankly, every American should be applauding Judge Gorsuch. This isn't about where you are on the political spectrum. This is about the fact that the guy knows what a judge's job is. Everybody should applaud this.
And it looks as though, I have to say, that the rollout of Gorsuch has been well coordinated with Congress, with agencies, with advocacy groups. It's almost like exactly the opposite of what we saw with that ban that was the executive order from Friday when it came to banning immigration.
Well, the White House did a great job. President Trump and his team did a nice job of reaching out to a number of us, taking seriously the constitutional requirement that we have to provide advice and consent on the lifetime appointments to the Article III branch. And obviously last night's event was well done. The president had a number of us over there. But what was the center of the night, frankly, was Judge Gorsuch. And if you think about the kinds of things that he said, when I advise law students, if you want to be a judge someday, when you go home at night after a day on the bench, and you take off your black robe, if you love every outcome that you got to rule on that day, you're probably a bad judge, because it isn't your job to get to specific outcomes. It's to defend the law and uphold the Constitution and fight for the individual rights of Americans against overreach. He's an impressive guy, and he knows what a judge's job is.
And speaking of fighting, there's probably going to be a fight over Judge Gorsuch in the Senate. You said that Democratic leader Chuck Schumer would probably tell people that Gorsuch, quote, kicks puppies and heckles piano recitals. Last night, I hosted a town hall with Minority Leader Nancy Pelosi. I want to play for you what the Democratic response actually was in real time. She focused on decisions that Judge Gorsuch has made having to do with regulating corporations. Take a listen.
If you breathe air, drink water, eat food, take medicine, or in any other way interact with the courts, this is a very bad decision. Well outside the mainstream of American legal thought, not committed to Supreme Court precedents.
How do you respond to that, Senator?
Well, honestly, it's the first time I've heard it, but I had read that Leader Pelosi had made comments like that. Honestly, I thought it was from The Onion the first time somebody told me about it. I mean, I think she literally said that if you breathe air or drink water, you should regard this guy as a threat. I mean, it's laughable. I've been reading the guy's opinions over the course of the last 3 weeks. I don't think you can discern what his policy preferences are on anything. He's the kind of person that the founders envisioned on the Supreme Court because he knows what a judge's job is. I went over to the Supreme Court last night because I was coming back from the White House and I heard a protest over there. And I decided to go out and see what the protesters were screaming about. And it turns out they had all these fill-in-the-blank signs. It said oppose in pre-printed text. And then there was a big white line that you could fill in the name, and they had Sharpies, and they were going to protest whoever the guy was. And it turns out Leader Pelosi was apparently leading those protests.
President Trump says Republicans should use the nuclear option if they need to, changing the Senate rules so the Democrats can't filibuster if they decide to get Gorsuch confirmed. Do you agree?
I mean, honestly, I think it's bizarre that we're even having a conversation about people preemptively filibustering a guy when they hadn't yet looked at any of his opinions. I reject the premise. I think this is the kind of person that we should use as an occasion to teach our kids civics. Our founders envisioned a world where we distinguish between legislative, executive, and judicial functions, and our kids should know that not everything is about politics. There aren't Republican and Democratic seats at the court, and frankly, all their robes are black. They're not blue or red for partisan policy preferences. This is the kind of guy every American ought to celebrate, and I urge my Democratic colleagues to go read his opinions. He's an impressive guy.
A lot of Democrats would say that the words that you use to describe Judge Gorsuch, and not just you, that some Democrats do as well, he's very highly regarded and respected, that it's the same words that were used to describe Merrick Garland, who was President Obama's nominee, who never got a hearing and never got a vote. Can you understand why Democrats are still so angry about that decision by Republicans in the Senate to not even give Judge Garland an opportunity for a hearing?
You know, I'm new around here. I think I'm one of only 5 people in the Senate who's never been a politician. But sometimes when you're around here, it feels like people are always nurturing a grievance from centuries ago or millennia ago. It's like Middle Eastern politics about there will always be blood forevermore. We could have an infinite theoretical debate about the Schumer rule and the Biden rule and the first-term rule and the lame duck last year of a second-term presidential rule. Here's what's actually on the table now. We have a vacancy on the Supreme Court, and the guy that the president nominated is the kind of person that should be on the court because he knows his job is to be a judge, not to be a super legislator. If you want to be a super legislator, don't seek a lifetime appointment. Run for office so the American people can hire or fire you. Judge Gorsuch is the kind of guy that should be confirmed, and I predict will be confirmed.
Pride of Nebraska, Senator Ben Sasse, thanks for joining us.